Let's be real. Nobody grows up dreaming of working a night shift at McDonald's. But for a lot of people, that's what pays the bills. Today, I'm going to show you how to get from McDonald's to a six-figure tech job in just 3 moves. No experience required, career boot camp, no gatekeeping at all. This video, I'm going to show you exactly what to do, and I'm also going to use real jobs as examples. So without further ado, let's jump right into it because I'm eager to show you this. Before we jump into the tech, we're going to get deep into the tech, into the details. I want you to take a moment and realize the value that you have and the skill set that it takes. Dealing with all that is valuable. You learn valuable skills. The problem is we're not taught, and definitely McDonald's doesn't teach you to convert those skills into a resume or wording that makes sense and makes it look valuable on a resume for an application, or to when you're applying for a tech job. So that's our job, is to make this translate to corporate. So what I want to do is convert this language, which is just, standard fast food retail language, into a tech language. And that'll create our foundation for our tech career. So I went ahead and created an elevator pitch using our McDonald's experience to get into tech. I supported real-time, high-volume customer operations at one of the largest distributed service platforms in the world. My role involved managing front-end user experience, optimizing digital order flows, and executing rapid fulfillment across multiple input channels, including mobile app, kiosk, and in-person transactions. Now, just right there, that takes us to a whole different level. All of these things are true. It's not like we added anything in here that's not true. It's just about how you market yourself and how you present yourself determines how people can receive you. I collaborated across teams to ensure service level agreements were met during peak load times, maintain compliance with health and safety protocols, and leverage internal POS systems to monitor throughput, flag errors, and adapt to system bottlenecks in real time. In short, I wasn't working the register, I was managing the multi-channel service delivery for a global brand with zero room for downtime. The last sentence I would leave out. That's just kind of notes for you guys to kind of understand what I'm doing. But if you just read that description, or just say that verbatim, whoever you're talking to doesn't know you work at McDonald's. It's not that you're trying to hide it, it's that the value really is understanding the value of what you do. A lot of people do very important jobs, but they don't know how to convey that and market themselves to let people know they're making a huge difference. They know the value that they have. They know how much they can contribute to the company. So this reframes it. This makes someone who would normally not really consider anyone that worked at McDonald's kind of sit back in their seat and rethink it. Think maybe this is a good person. Maybe they understand the value of what they're going to bring to our company. Maybe they can bring this mindset. Maybe they can be contagious and everyone around them will start thinking this way as well. So this is our starting point. And this one move, this mind frame shift, this reframing of our experience is going to get us into tech. So let's look into our first jump, our first career jump. So our first career jump is going to land us at core intelligent. And as I said, this is a real job with a real company and it's currently open. So remote support engineer. So whether it's called remote support engineer, help desk analyst, service desk, it doesn't really matter. Most IT jobs, entry level jobs, are pretty much the same across the board. They may have different names. So a lot of people I know started off doing this work. I started my IT career off doing this work. I went from a call center to an IT support desk, and that's what launched my tech career, from working at a grocery store. So I'm talking from a place of experience. So let's talk about why this is your perfect first move for someone coming from retail or someone coming from McDonald's or fast food background. Let's just look at the key responsibilities, just a couple of them. So respond to inbound support tickets and phone calls from clients. It's no way that you worked at McDonald's and you don't know how to deal with clients. You've dealt with clients in person, so I'm sure you can deal with clients that are on the phones or on email. So that you can definitely do that job, and it's not a hard sell to convince someone that you can do it. Troubleshoot and resolve hardware, software, and connectivities issues on desktops, laptops, mobile devices, printers, and peripheral devices. Now, sometimes people get intimidated because they say, "Hey, I don't know the hardware they're talking about. I'm not sure if I know the software." The main thing you have to keep in mind, especially with tech companies, is that everyone trains you. No matter how much tech experience you have, every company does things differently. So it's no way they're going to put you out there by yourself without giving you some type of training. And not only that, you're surrounded by people who know these things because they've been there so long. So you'll always have a mentor or someone to ask. So it's okay to not know, the hardware, software going in. The expectation is for you to learn when you get there. They definitely want to hire someone who they feel can learn the job and do the job, but you don't already have to know the job to start the job and get hired. So a couple other traps I see people kind of fall into is they say, I don't know, Active Directory, or I haven't dealt with VPN. First of all, the simple solution is just to watch a YouTube video. I've gotten so many jobs from just taking a few minutes to look at some YouTube videos from the keywords in the description. So when I have that meeting with the HR screening person and the hiring manager, I'm familiar and can speak to those technologies or that software, even though I haven't had like a lot of hands-on experience. At least I can grasp the concept and have a educated conversation about it. That's really valuable. Another thing is learning the terminology. So something like an SLA. SLA is just service level agreement, and that may sound intimidating if you never heard of it, but it's just saying, hey, if I get a email or a ticket in, I'll respond to it within 24 hours. Same thing you probably did when you worked at McDonald's or we worked at McDonald's. Um, I'm not sure what the turnaround time is. So you have to have the order to the customer within 5 minutes. That's a SLA. That's a service level agreement. That's what you're trying to meet. That's kind of a goal that you're trying to set a baseline to ensure that you provide a good customer service consistently. Like coming into the call saying things like service level agreement, KPIs, things that they have in the description to let them know that you understand the job, that you're familiar, that you speak the same language. That's really valuable. And here's probably everyone's favorite trap is the years of experience. Some people say, well, I just worked at McDonald's. I don't have 2 years of experience in IT. This is my first job. The first thing is you have to get your foot in the door before you can even play the I don't have this many years of experience game. Get your feet in the door. Secondly, this is just a filter for recruiters, honestly. If they had no time requirements, they would probably get hundreds of applications and it would be hard for them to figure out who to pick. They'll have to go through hundreds of resumes. So what they're betting on and the reason why when I apply for jobs, I had so little competition. They're looking for people to self disqualify. So you could be your perfect person for the job, but if you say, I don't meet the qualifications, I'm not going to apply, then I have no one or less people to compete with for this job. So the first thing you definitely have to do mentally is stop self disqualifying. 2 years of experience, you can't tell me that the time that you spent mastering your job at McDonald's and just life didn't prepare you for a help desk role. I'm sure that you can do a help desk role. And everyone, you know, it's not a hard sell to convince someone, a hiring manager, that you're capable of doing a help desk role. It's not a high bar. So let's look at the salary. So just in our first jump, and I didn't mention this before. So the average salary for a crew member is $26,000. So we're already gone from $26,000 to either 50 or $55,000, somewhere in that range. We'll just say $50,000. So we've almost doubled our salary in just one move. And this is our first jump. And all of these roles will have some remote, pretty much will be a remote roles because it's 2025 remote is common, especially in tech. That's one of the main um, perks of being in tech. So we're definitely looking at remote roles for pretty much everything we look at. So that's our first jump. So let's look at our second jump. Our second career jump will be with QA Wolf. Now, this is a very strategic move for our last jump. But for this second jump, let's talk about quality assurance. A lot of people would say, I don't know what quality assurance is. It sounds intimidating. Pretty much, quality assurance is checking to make sure something works properly. So let's think about, if a new iPhone came out, before the developers send out millions of units and put it on shelves and sell it directly to consumers, they're going to give it to QA. They're going to say, these are all the things that it should do. See if you can check it and make sure everything works properly. Pretty much your job is to try to break it. Find something that's wrong with it, document it, report it, send it back to the developer, let them try to fix it. They'll send it back to you again, and you guys kind of go back and forth until all the issues are resolved. That's really it. Why this is such a strategic role is because we're trying to get to a six-figure tech career. And in tech, the people you work with is probably going to provide you the most value and most skills. So you're positioning yourself between software developers who you're checking their work and between customers or businesses that you're working with. So you kind of have the benefit of talking to software developers, learning new concepts, learning what needs to be changed, learning some potential coding terms and things like that, and also hearing from customers to say, hey, this is a problem, or hearing from someone from the support desk saying, hey, this um, user reported this problem. Can you recreate this bug? So you're getting kind of all of this knowledge from end user experience all the way to development. So you're kind of like in the hub of information. So just think about how valuable that knowledge is going to be going forward. So even if you don't deal directly with the software or the technology, you can get enough exposure to it to speak to it intelligently, not only in your current position, but in future positions. So it's very strategic. And again, this position is remote. So if you, as you see, the only requirement is to physically be in one of these countries, not in a specific state, not in a specific city, just in one of these countries. Um, Couple of technologies they mention: JavaScript, HTML, CSS. You can do some free coding modules online. You can watch YouTube videos. I literally taught myself HTML, CSS in a couple of hours. If that, it was really simple via YouTube. Just mess around with some things online and you'll find great YouTube videos on these technologies. These aren't even like high level technologies. This is kind of like basic, really basic technologies. Of course, they're looking for a 9 to 5, 40-hour work week. What else do we have here? Oh, let's get to the this section that says make magic. So work backwards from the ideal customer experience. So this kind of goes back to what I was saying about QA. You're trying to make sure that the customer has a good experience by checking everything to make sure it works properly. So if you had, say, example, you were testing the iPhone, you might get on YouTube for a couple hours. You might try Safari. You might try different messaging. You might try the photos. You're just checking to make sure everything works. So when someone gets the software or product, they don't have a horrible experience because it's too many bugs. That's really all you're doing. Um, I talk about the hiring process, but what I want to get to is the salary. So already we're at 80,000, and this is starting salary, right? This is not even including the negotiation you would be doing. And by the way, every time you get a job, you should be negotiating. Um, you need to definitely research or sign up for pay bump to figure out how to negotiate. And while I'm on pay bump, also every job that I mentioned here, we've already done the resume for you on pay bump, so you don't have to take notes or figure out what I need to add to my resume. The resumes are already done for you on Paybump. Click the link in the description, sign up, and we have the resume for these three jumps, as well as 600 other, literally over 600 other resumes tailored to specific companies and specific jobs. So we do all of the grunt work. We do all the front end work when it comes to marketing yourself, which is getting your resume in a place where you can present it in front of the hiring manager and HR, and they can give you a call and you can start the interview process. We make that as simple as possible. Okay, so we are at 80,000. Just being modest. Like I said, if we negotiate easily at 90, maybe 100,000. So we've gone from 26,000 to 50,000 to 80,000 already. So let's move on to our final jump. So our final jump is going to land us at Plaid as an implementation specialist. Now, our previous role was pretty much a junior QA position, kind of entry level QA position. I could have easily went with our final jump as a senior QA person, but I wanted to kind of show you the diversity of tech by presenting this implementation specialist and kind of let you know what other opportunities are out there because tech isn't just coding. As you can see, it was not any coding in our journey so far. We're not doing a bunch of coding. We're not sitting behind a computer trying to figure out code all day. You can make six figures without coding. I promise you can. So Plaid, let's talk about this role a little bit. As I mentioned, it's remote. It's a bit of a hybrid role because it has some travel. But that's because I want to kind of explain what an implementation specialist is. You can also call it a professional consultant. That's also a different name for it. But let's kind of walk through this role and the responsibilities. So it says work with thousands of companies like Venmo, SoFi, and several Fortune 500 companies. So what the consultant usually does, especially for this position, is as you can see, it's called professional services. That's what they call it in the tech industry, professional services. So what you're going to be doing is you're going to be setting up software and configuring software for other companies. So imagine Plaid had a contract with Apple to set up this new software. So you can either go in person to Apple or you can remote into Apple's system or server and set up the software, configure it, work with their developers, work with their, sometimes you work with the CTO. Sometimes you work with their system administrator. It just depends on the software, but it's kind of a B2B, business to business. You work with them to set up and configure software, and they pay you pretty handsomely for it. And one of the reasons they pay you so well is because you're going directly from your business to another business, and sometimes in person, which means you are a representative or a representation of the business. So if I go to Apple on Plaid's behalf, I'm a representative of Plaid. So how I do could largely determine if Plaid gets more contracts, or they get $1 million contract or $100,000 contract, or they keep getting work because reputation is so important. So we're gonna get to the salary, but they pay you really, really well to represent their company. And they mentioned companies like Venmo, SoFi. Like I mentioned, they go directly to they work directly with these companies. So let's say they wanted me to work with SoFi. Remote is a possibility. So I could just remote into SoFi, work with them on a project for it could be a couple weeks, it could be a week, it could be a couple months. But I'm working directly with SoFi and I'm getting paid very well to implement whatever software. And the great thing about this is even though you're working with different companies, well, you're working with different companies, but all of these companies have different softwares. So, just kind of an insider tip, what I did in my career is I always kept a list of every technology that I touched. So, if I go to Google and Google has this type of software, I'm going to make a list of it. I'm going to add it to my list. If I go to Apple, they have this software, I'm going to add it to my list. And what you end up with is a list full of software and skills that are really, really valuable that you can sell in your next position, or even can talk your way into a promotion or a raise knowing that you hold this much knowledge and value. So it's really a skills game, stacking skills, stacking companies, kind of stacking logos to be able to prove that you're valuable. Now let's go ahead and go down to the salary. And as I mentioned before, it's 25% travel because sometimes you have to travel on site. And look at the salary, 127,000 to 272,000. As I mentioned, they pay you really well to represent them properly. This is their kind of their reputation on the line, and they're really depending on you to do a good job and make a good impression. But you have your remote support engineer experience, you have your QA experience, and of course, you have your McDonald's experience. So you're more than prepared. You've had enough exposure, you have the contacts, you have the mentors, you have the experience. So you're ready for this role. Of course, in here, they mentioned the different zones, so they may pay you different based on the zone to account for the cost of living in the area. But our goal was to get to six figures. We're at 127 minimum, specifically $127,680 minimum. We're already there. Scroll up a little bit. Again, the same trap, the 8-year experience. Now, what I didn't mention is how long we were at each role. So we could have that 8 years easily. We could be at 6 years. Like we don't. I haven't really specified. But even if you're a little short, if you can prove that you have the skills, if you can speak to your experience, if you can show how much you know about their industry, and you can sell yourself, no one cares about just 8+ years of experience. Like I said, this is a filter for HR, a future filter for hiring managers, so they don't have to go through a million resumes. So if you come through at the top three and you have 6 years of experience, you're in the top three. They're gonna still interview you. They're not gonna say no interview because you don't have 2 more years of experience, but you have all of the knowledge and information. It doesn't happen. So I hope this was helpful for you guys. I hope this is really so I hope this was help so I hope this was helpful for you guys. I hope it was really enlightening. If you like this video, go ahead and leave it a like. As I mentioned, all of the resumes and all of the jobs you can find at paybump.com. Sign up. They're already done for you. We have more resources. We have events. We are really focused on making sure that you get to the next level no matter where you start. Like I said, I started working at a grocery store. I used to work in the seafood department, the meat department. I worked at drugstores, and I got from there all the way to a six-figure tech career. And I know it's really easy. There's a lot of friends that I have that have the same story, so it's not like I'm somehow special. This is very, very obtainable. So hit that like button if you like this video, subscribe, leave a comment if you want to see me go from, starting from Burger King or any other place you can think of. Give me any scenario, give me your background, whatever you want to, and we can start from there and I can give you a new path. This is just one path. There are several paths, hundreds, if not thousands of paths to get to six figures in tech, no matter where you start. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you guys on the next video.